Oh, hi everyone. We watched The Disaster Artist.
What a story, Doug.
Ah.
Okay,
Yeah, so yeah, we can't do a whole review like that. It'll be uncomfortable for everybody. So this was kind of an important movie for us because I feel like, apart from Beast Wars, something else that we kind of bonded over was The Room. We kind of had this appreciation on both sides about like B movies and
this all started actually with Miami Connection.
Oh yeah.
Because you brought that movie over and you were like, hey, you want to see something that's really tough to watch? I'll bet you can't finish it. And I was like, bet you I could. And then he brought it over and we didn't finish it. We finished Miami Connection, obviously.
Yeah, no, Miami Connection was not too bad to get through. Yeah, I remember is that I'm like, look, The Room, I just told him a little bit about it and how bad it was. And I said that, it'd be hard to finish. And I was right. Yep. He was unable to finish it.
But it's something that you have to see in the right environment.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch like a movie with like a fulfilling formula where it's got like a decisive beginning, middle, and end, and like an arc that makes sense, don't watch The Room. Go watch it in like the Rio Theater or something like that. We saw that in the Rio, and it was more entertaining than it's ever been. Because everyone else is in on it too.
Yeah, any theater that does like midnight screenings of The Room or like just like big presentations of it, where it's going to be an audience full of like fans, that's the way to see the movie because if you just sit down and watch it, it's really not worth watching.
And interestingly enough, going into this movie, I knew it was going to be good. Some of my favorite YouTube reviewers out there, Jeremy Johns being one of them, gave this an awesome-tacular. Mm-hmm. But even still, I reserve judgment for myself because I don't always agree with him. But going into it, I knew it was going to be entertaining. I knew it was going to be fun. Really, like the magic of watching this particular movie, seeing as how we do have this relationship with The Room, given the fact that we've done a podcast on The Room, and the fact that we've watched The Room together in the Rio Theater and had a blast with everyone. So going to see The Disaster Artist, even though it was like a mainstream movie, it still felt, especially in like we were just there, in the way the audience was reacting to what was happening on screen, I felt like me personally, like we were a part of a club that was like in on some kind of joke. It was actually quite a fun experience. It was an experience based off of an experience. Maybe Tommy Wiseau secretly is a genius, and this entity that he has created is an entity because it is. There's now an entire universe based around that one movie, which for all intents and purposes should have been a failure.
It should have been, and was for a long time until just slowly but surely the world found it.
And I'm glad it did.
Yeah, I mean, even though like objectively and also honestly, I really don't want to watch The Room again. It is kind of nice that it's out there and that it found a home. It found its way into people's hearts despite itself. Because it is kind of a fun success story. This underdog who has no right making movies somehow like made a movie. And it's an interesting story to bring to an audience, I think.
I think so too. The making of The Room, the fact that it was made, it really seems like Tommy really didn't know what he was doing. Like this was his first time ever writing something and he just sort of went with it. Broke all the rules when it came to making a film and then just sort of just made it. And it still got edited, it still got put together, it still got finished, which is more than a lot of film people out there can say. Mm-hmm. And it's still played on the big screen. The chief lesson is you can, if you believe in something hard enough and you work hard enough, you can achieve anything.
Especially if you also have enough money.
Oh, that's true.
So,
I suppose yeah.
Yeah, that does, I mean, sorry to deflate it a little bit, but it also is that he had this endless pit of money that he could just throw at it. So there's that as well. Have you ever seen the movie Ed Wood?
No.
It's a great film. I would say this is like this generation's Ed Wood. Because Ed Wood is all about the infamous B-movie filmmaker Ed Wood, who made Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's about the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space. And this is basically that movie for this new generation. They're different enough movies, but I think the heart is the same. And I think that's sort of works about this movie so well, is that it is the celebration of just pursuing this passion, whether you know how to do it or not. It's almost brilliantly ironic because James Franco knows everybody. So they bring in this whole cast of like A-list actors, tons of people who are really famous, who now are lending their talent to a movie about a room that was made with no talent. Like, what a weird thing that is, you know?
Yeah.
There's no way they would have made this movie without having seen The Room and not been in on the joke. Like, all of these amazing, talented people have seen The Room and liked it enough that they wanted to be in the movie about making The Room. Like, that's weird, isn't it?
It is weird.
You know?
Yeah. There is one thing, though, that, like, one of my favorite lines, they're talking about how tough it was to work on set, and they're asking Lisa's mom, how do you drive 15 or 150 miles or however long it takes her to drive every day to come to set for this movie? And she's like, anytime you're on set, even though it's the worst day, is better than a day anywhere else. And it's that creative spirit that exists on set. It's that sense that you're part of something larger than yourself, and you're lending yourself to your craft and to this thing that you're creating. There's a real magic in that, and it feels great, and there's no other feeling like that in the world. At the time it was grueling, and at the time it was tough, but now you can see this thing you've created and you can all sit back and laugh.
Yeah.
Because you have the right to. Because it's yours.
Anything that you didn't like about it?
The movie itself made sense. Tommy didn't make any sense. He's the main character. This is his movie.
He's weird, and it's hard to follow his thought process. You know, it's interesting that Tommy Wiseau has seen this movie and actually really likes it, and actually says that a lot of it is true. It doesn't do him any favors, you know? And that's kind of the nice thing, is that it doesn't paint him as a villain. And it doesn't particularly paint him as a hero a lot of the time either.
Yeah.
He's very complicated. It's a weird mind to try to get into because it doesn't make sense. And which sounds consistent with like the fact that the person who made The Room is not on the same planet as everyone else.
Some of the funniest parts of this movie, because I haven't laughed this hard in a movie in a long time. Whether it's a product of the fact that we have this relationship with The Room, like many of you out there do, or whether it's a product of it just being a genuinely funny movie. But watching James Franco's interpretation of Tommy Wiseau interact with what I would consider to be like normal, regular, everyday working actors and working crew, and just regular, normal, everyday people.
Yeah.
Watching him interact with them is some of the funniest stuff I've seen in a long time. Because is he really that weird? Is that really Tommy? I didn't get him at the slightest, and I love that about him. Mm-hmm. It's confusing to me because usually when you go into a movie, you're supposed to understand the hero. You're supposed to relate to him. The only thing I relate to with him is the fact that I'm hungry, I'm an actor, and I want to be part of something larger than myself. This movie really spoke to me though. I myself being an actor in Vancouver and doing my thing, I understand, like what it's like on set. I understand what it's like to grind it out. I understand what it's like to hear the word no get told to you over and over again, and to be told either you're not good enough or just things like that. I found it to me to be an extremely relatable movie.
Me too. It actually really fed my hunger for like wanting to make my feature film.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, maybe I should just do it. Like maybe I should just like buckle down and do it. You watch it, you're like, there's no reason The Room should have been made, but it was. So why the hell can I not do this? Because I know I could do better. Even if my movie's not very good, it's not going to be that bad.
But we'll always have The Room.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of an encouraging film, and it is a film that speaks to people. So anyone who's like in the business or just pursuing creative endeavor of some sort.
Yeah, whether it's singing or painting, it's always going to be good and it's always going to be trash to somebody else.
And at the end of the day, you just got to do it.
And you have to finish it.
And even if it sucks, maybe, it'll find an audience anyway.
This is definitely a movie that I would buy and I would watch. It'd be one of those yearly things, I think. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got that like yearly thing.
If you ever want to feel really encouraged to pursue your creative endeavors, again, this is just up there with Ed Wood.
Do you think this movie will be relatable to the mainstream audience who has not seen The Room and are not in the film industry?
A regular blue-collar guy.
Blue-collar guy, loves working on cars and shit. Do you think this movie will speak to that person?
It does speak to a certain kind of mind, and it's no discredit to people who aren't like pursuing arts, is because the world needs all different kinds of people to function.
Will it speak to the general audience?
You know, I think people who aren't in on the joke might find Tommy Wiseau's character hard to believe, but I think that they could get a laugh out of it. I see no reason why they wouldn't find parts of it funny, but I think that it is definitely one that's geared more toward people like us. Anyway, that's our 2 cents worth on The Disaster Artist. Have you seen The Room? Have you seen The Disaster Artist? Please tell us what you think in the comments down below. We would love to hear what your Room experience is, because if you've seen it, you've had the Room experience. Follow the links down below to our Checking the Gate podcast about The Room, and as we review it, and then sort of try to formulate our own version of it to make more sense. And share with your friends, and
tell your mom.
Like and subscribe, and as he says, always tell your mom. Anyway, how's your sex life?